The following passage contains remarks delivered by Blessed Cardinal Clemens August Graf von Galen on March 16, 1946, his 68th birthday, to a crowd of about 50,000 who'd gathered outside the bombed-out Munster Cathedral. This would end up being the final public address given by the late Cardinal, who perished on March 22, 1946, 1 month and 1 day after being appointed the Bishop of Munster.
The dear God placed me in a position in which I had a duty to call black, black, and white, white, as it says in the rite of consecrating a bishop. He gave me a position that made me the leader and responsible guide of hundreds and thousands who, like me, found it hard, who suffered it only with virtue and with the greatest pain, when God's truth and justice, the value of the human being and the rights of the human being were set aside, rejected and thrown to the ground, who, like me and with me, found it bitter injustice against the true good of our people, when the religion and truth of Christ were ever more constricted and pushed aside. I knew that I could speak for thousands who, like me, were strongly convinced that our German people could find happiness, true unity, and a blessed future only on the foundation of Christianity. I knew that many suffered more, much more than I personally had to suffer, from the attacks on truth and justice that we experienced. They could not speak. They could only suffer. It may be that in God's sight, in which suffering has more value than actions and words, it may be that despite their suffering, even many of those who are standing here had truly merited much more in the holy eyes of God, because they have suffered more than I have. But it was my right and my duty to speak. And I spoke for you, for countless people who are gathered here, for countless people in our dear German fatherland. And God gave it his blessing. And your love and loyalty, my dear diocesans, also kept far from me what might have been my fate, but also might have been my greatest reward, the crown of martyrdom. His voice broke with emotion as he spoke these words, perhaps thinking of the many who had been martyred, perhaps regretting that he had not received that blessing. He went on. It was your loyalty that prevented it. The fact that you stood behind me, and that those who were then in power knew that the people and the bishop of the Diocese of Munster were an unbreakable unity. Loud cheering from the crowd interrupted him at this remark. And that if they struck the bishop, all the people would feel as if they had been struck. That was what protected me from external harm, but it was also what gave me inner strength